The structure of your Google Ads account could totally make or break your entire ad campaign. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to actually structure that account to get real results. We'll go over what campaigns to run, how to structure the ad groups within that campaign, how to structure the ads within the ad groups. And at the end, I'll even throw in some tips on how to use AI to write these ads to get way more clicks and to just like speed up this entire process. If that sounds good, let's get started. First, I want to give you a high level overview of the structure we're actually going to use within Google Ads, so it makes sense when we're in the account actually doing it. So at the very top, obviously, like pretend this whole white space is your account, right? So our account is the biggest bucket possible. And then within the account, there are smaller buckets, which are called campaigns. Why is that so small? Let me zoom in here. So within the account, we have our campaigns. Within the campaign, you can choose what type of campaign it is, and we'll go over that in the next section. You can choose how much budget you want to allocate per day. That's where you do that at the campaign level. This is kind of where you set up all your targeting as well. So your location targeting, your demographic targeting, your customer match list, that's all done at the campaign level. Your bidding strategy, your goals for the campaign. So when you're tracking conversions, what counts as a conversion goal, all of that is set at the campaign level. And then within the campaign, we have multiple ad groups. And you can have as many ad groups as you want in your campaign, or as few ad groups. Let's make this small, actually. Let's make it small so we can get some hierarchy here. I don't know why it's so long, but whatever. And you can have as many of these as you want. So we typically have up to 20 ad groups per campaign. And within each ad group is kind of its own thing, right? So think of these as like its own section of the campaign. So let's say your campaign is spending, just for a big round number, $1,000, right? Say it's spending $1,000 a day, a month, whatever it might be. If it's spending $1,000, then these ad groups won't go evenly. It'll be whatever served properly. So if you want like a specific ad group to serve a specific amount of money, then it might be worth breaking off into another campaign. But most of the time, if we're running a search campaign, we're only going to have one of them, and we're just going to let the ad groups figure out what the demand is depending on what the service is, what your market wants right now, and a bunch of different factors. So that's how this is structured. You have your big campaign that over encompasses everything. And then within that campaign, you have multiple ad groups. And then within the ad groups, I'm just going to zoom in here. Okay, and then within each ad group, we have responsive search ads. I'm just putting RSA so you can get the idea here. But the unique thing is you can only have up to 3. So I'll actually do this here to show that. So RSA 1, 2, and 3. So we zoom out here. Overall campaign has all the different ad groups in it. And then all the different ad groups within each one of those has 3 responsive search ads. So that's kind of the tree structure you can kind of understand with this. Each responsive search ad in itself will have 15 different headlines, 4 different descriptions, and a ton of different ad assets. The ad group level is also where you define your keywords. So the ad group level is really where you match the keywords and the ad itself. So like the headlines of the ad. So I'll throw that in here too, just so we can have a clear distinction. Keywords are in here. And that's for every single one of these. There we go. That's for every single one of these. So if you have 20 ad groups, each ad group should have 3 responsive search ads, and each responsive search ad has 15 headlines, 4 descriptions that it cycles through, and they should all have the keywords. So hopefully that makes sense. This is kind of how you structure the campaign. Next, I'm actually going to get into an ad account, and we'll go over what types of campaigns they are and which ones you should be running. Hey, just popping in. If you're liking the video so far, go check out the links below. You can grab my free Ultimate Google Ads guide that's packed with everything you need to get started. And if you just want me to build the whole thing for you, we have a book solid engine where it's a one-time payment, no recurring fees. You get everything, the ads, the landing pages, trainings, and 90 days of free management. Check those links out. Let's get back to the video. All right, so here we are in my test account. So if it looks weird, that's why. It's just a test account. They're not actually running ads off of this. But I want to show you the types of campaigns we have to choose from. So what is your campaign objective? Let's skip this. This is just telling us if we do this, it'll help us like build the campaign properly, but we just kind of say without guidance. So we get all the options possible. And here you can see the different types of campaigns they are. Really, the only 2 you should ever care about are search performance max. Demand gen, display, shopping, maybe video if you're doing video. Shopping is for products, obviously. Apps is for apps downloads. But the real type of campaign you want is a search campaign. That is where if somebody goes on Google, they search something, you show up as a top result. Performance Max is really good for retargeting campaigns. So if you have a past list of customers, you want to upload that, run a Performance Max campaign. Within Performance Max, there's no ad groups or anything like that, like I just talked before. What I was talking about before is really search campaign, which is the bread and butter of Google Ads. So these are the type of campaigns you want. So now let me show you ad groups and how we kind of want to split these up. So here's an example campaign. I just went over to ad groups here, and notice how we have a bunch of, let's go by, I guess we go by name. How we have a bunch of different ad groups, but all for like a similar thing. So this is an example. It's a copy of an account who is in Colorado Springs, one of the clients of ours, and they are a plumber. So we have one geo version of each ad group, and then each ad group also has like kind of unique things like near me versus just drain cleaning. This is a topic I covered in a recent video. I'll link it in the description and at the end of this video to really show you how to break down the ad groups per campaign. But the best way I can get this to you is to understand this idea called message match, where your main goal is whatever the potential customer types in that search bar, that ad should reflect that as much as possible. So if they're searching for here in this example, okay, I made it a little bit bigger, but you can see that drain cleaning, somebody might type in drain cleaning, or they might type in drain cleaning near me, or they might type in drain clogged emergency. So these ad groups, they're selling the same service, but they're just in a slightly different language. And that language is going to slightly match the message that the potential customer's typing in the search bar more. And that also goes through to the landing page. So you gotta get that straight through line. So you break it up by the service you offer, and then you break up the services by the message match, the different way people search that. And then you also throw in some geography as well. So if they might search drain cleaning in Colorado Springs, that's what this is for. Again, I have a more in-depth video about this, so go check that out after this video. But now let's move into how the responsive search ads are actually structured. So we went over how to do campaign structure, ad group structure, and now responsive search ad structure. I promised in the beginning that we're going to show you how to create these ads faster and better with AI. So I'm going to switch over to ChatGPT and I'll meet you there. Okay, so we're in ChatGPT. And the reason we do this is because if you sat down and you had to write 15 headlines for each responsive search ad, remember there's 3 per ad group. So 15 headlines times 3 is 45. So that's 45 30-character headlines for one ad group. And if you have 12 ad groups, that's 45 times 12. So it's at 450 plus 90. That's 540 different headlines. That's unreasonable. It's really hard to write 540 different headlines. So we use ChatGPT and really strong prompts to write these for us. So let me just give you an example here of like kind of what it can look like. I do have the awesome script that always generates excellent headlines. We use it for our clients and it kills it for us. It spits out 45 perfect headlines and all the descriptions. So 4 times 3, all the 12 descriptions that we need for each ad group in one prompt. I do have that behind a paywall though. It's behind the paywall for my course, the Service Biz Google Ads Academy. There's a link below for that if you're interested. But I have to leave some of the sweet stuff for the people who pay me. But I'm giving you still great stuff here online, and I'll show you just kind of how this prompt was made, the thought process behind it, and how you can do this on your own. Okay, so now we're in the actual building of the ads itself, and this is one responsive search ad. And remember, we do 3 of these per ad group. This is the max they allow us to do, and we want to max it out because the way Google search and just most advertising in general on these platforms work is it's a machine learning algorithm. So it doesn't really know who to serve the ads to. It has a general idea based off past history because it takes all these data points about people, but it doesn't know exactly what ad's going to perform the best. So the way that we can assure that our ads perform the best is by giving Google as much information as possible, as many options as possible, as many different combinations to test and try out to see what drives the results. So in here, you have your URL, you have your display path, which is just irrelevant, just makes it show up right here. But this is where the bread and butter is. You have your 15 different headlines, and it only requires 3. And it's a mistake I see a lot of people do because they get lazy. For each ad group, they're going to have one responsive search ad, and then they're going to have like 7 headlines tops in there. What you need to do is you need to be filling every single one of these out. So we did all 15 here. All of them are completely full with slight variations on the headline. As you can see, it cycles. You can watch this happen right here. I mean, it just keeps doing it over and over again. And this is how they do it on the actual ad itself. We want to give as many options as possible to see what works the best. Same thing with the descriptions. It only requires 2. We do all 4. We max it out, 4 out of 4. So again, 3 different responsive search ads, max it all out. You don't really need to have a theme between each three. It's okay to duplicate a little bit if you find if a headline's really strong, or there's only so many ways to say the thing you're doing. But try as hard as you can to have a variation on every single headline. And then this isn't filled out because this is a test account, but you can see a little bit here with some call outs. You want to add all of these assets that you can. So Google allows you to add images. It allows you to add your business name and logo. It allows you to add site links. These are unique. We typically don't do these, but they're very good if you have multiple different pages. But again, we typically don't do these for message match reasons. And then there's a ton, promotions, prices, phone number, very important. Call outs, structured snippets, like all of these things that make your ad look better, right? Like an image next to your ad right here, or your business logo right here, makes your ad look better. Give it to Google. Let it try it out. It won't use it if it doesn't help you get more clicks or doesn't help you get more conversions. But the trick is to just give Google as much information as possible. So make 3 of these per ad group. This is the best structure I can recommend. And yeah, this is how I would do this. So you kind of start with something like this. Say, pretend that you are a Google Ads expert. Let's try this actually. See if I can use the mic on it. Pretend that you're a Google Ads expert and that you're writing a headline. Excuse me, you're writing 45 headlines for a responsive search ad for the ad group for emergency plumbing. It's very important that each headline is less than 30 characters long. It's very important that each headline is written to be as strong as possible to get a click from people who are most likely to be a customer. I want you to mix in within these headlines. I want you to write them in a bunch of different styles. I want some styles to be very direct response, very clear, very focused on the thing you're offering. State it as cleanly as possible. I want some other styles to focus on maybe some humor. Nothing too crazy. Don't get too out of the box with it, but something that will make you stand out amongst the other search results. Make them a little clever too. I also want some that are strong with call to actions, and I want some that are very strong benefit focused, and I want some that are strong on the pain. So focus on the pain of the issue they're having, or that they're having, and how you can fix that. So this will be our prompt here. This is, again, similar to what I do for the real prompt that we use is something like this. It might be better to split this up, one at a time. So say, give me 15 for this kind of headline, but run something like this and you can see we get some great ones here. So 24/7 emergency plumbing. This is a great headline. I would use that. Fast emergency plumber. I would definitely use that. Leak calls right now. These are great. So you can go through these and you can pick the ones you like. And you'll see there's ones that kind of suck in here. That's we really had to work on the humor with ChatGPT. Pipes hating, we're waiting. Like these are just horrible. But these are actually really important to have. These help so much with like a slightly clever headline. Makes you stand out. And they actually say some of the best performing ones we have are these ones that kind of slightly humorous, slightly stand out a little bit. Like flush panic, we get it. That could be unique. That could be a good one. Again, try it. We have so many different headlines that we are throwing into Google here. Try it, see what works. If it doesn't work, you can always swap it out later. So call to action focused. Call now, we're on standby. Book a plumber in 60 seconds. These are great. Tap to stop the leak. I would switch that to call. Call to stop the leak. Yeah, call, because we want to call here. Reach us 24/7 for help. That's a great one. Benefit focused. Home dry again in hours. Real pump. Some of these are not that great. But you get the idea here. Don't let damage spread. That's a great one. Pain point here. But you get the idea. We really want to, use this AI, leverage it, and we can prompt it. We can always, prompt it again. Say, give me 20 more that are similar to this one. We can just pick one that we like. Say we like book a plumber in 60 seconds. If you have some more ideas, throw that in there, and it'll spit those out. So this is what we do. This is kind of the process for that. Again, you have to still use your human brain and decide, hey, does this make sense? Is this actually gonna get someone to click it? You have to really work with this thing to make it work. I like to say ChatGPT is kind of a mirror, right? It just reflects back to you what you give it. So the more intelligent you are with this prompt up here, the more you tell it what makes a good headline, the better it's going to be. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. Again, proper campaign setup, the proper structure is critical to get that message match, to really drive that through, and to give Google all the options it needs to find the winning ads, to actually get you calls coming in. If you want some more information, I have a free Ultimate Google Ads guide linked below. It has everything I know about Google Ads. Is awesome. Again, I have that course linked below as well, where the Service Biz Google Ads Academy, you can basically has everything in the Google Ads, the free training, but with videos and actual tutorials, click by click of me doing it instead of just a text document. I also have a setup offer down below where we will set up this whole Google Ads system that we use for your business, one-time payment. Go check that out. And if nothing else, go check out the video about how to actually do the ad groups. I'll have that link below too, and it should be linked on screen here soon. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.